Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Summer Finals powered by Curse Voice. My name is hi-rez Kelly, and joining me is Adonis and Aurora. And just as that video showed us, is that although this is a really big LAN, it's all leading up to the World Championships that are going to be happening in January 7th through the 10th. And I believe what the video said is that 10 teams are coming up. And Adonis, maybe you can talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, this season, Season 2, has been broken down into 3 splits. The spring split, the summer split, which we're just finishing here, and then one more split is going to be 10 weeks of a fall split culminating to regional championships. And we're going to have 10 teams from across the world. It's going to be 2 from North America, 2 from Europe, 1 from LATAM, 1 from Brazil. This is the mouthful. 2 from China, 1 from Oceania, and then a special wild card team, which will be the third place from North America and Europe, and they're going to be facing off for that wild card spot.
Oh wow! So once the final split is done, the third teams are going to be competing.
Well, there'll be a regional championship LAN, and that'll be the top 4 teams from North America and Europe will compete. There's going to be 2 winners from there, and then the third place teams from both of those will compete for that final spot. It'll be NA versus EU.
And it's their own LAN too.
Yes.
Yeah. So NA and EU are not playing against each other. They're playing in their separate LANs, but for both the third places are going to play against each other for that final spot that Adonis was talking about.
That's pretty crazy. You know, a lot of the teams were complaining, you know, North America and Europe before really the other regions got the team had such limited spots. So it's going to be interesting to see, you know, basically the better region realistically will get that extra spot. Yeah,
that's really exciting. And going along with that, at PAX Australia, we're actually going to be having the Oceanic Regionals there. And then they're going to be playing for $50,000, I believe?
Yes, it'll be the top 4 teams coming out of the Oceania region. They're currently doing their own pro league. It's the Oceania Pro League. And it's actually running, they started yesterday, I believe, and they're going to be running through to November when PAX Australia is, and those teams will compete for their spot and $50,000.
I'm really excited to see all these teams. I mean, we saw 4 teams that were out of the NA and EU regions during the last World Championships, and although there was a very polar opposite difference in their play, depending on how long they've had the game, they still did really well. I remember OMG, the Chinese team, did superb, and
Titan almost fell in their first game to the Chinese
They really
teams.
like that Thanatos over China back in first Worlds.
I think some of their players in China and even the other regions, LATAM and Brazil, mechanically they're there. They just haven't had the practice. It's another year away. It's not going to be the same, I think, in a dominated LAN. It's going to be a true world championship.
Yeah. Another thing to look at, too, is the Brazil, well, more so the Latin America, North-South Latin America could play on the NA servers. So we might see some pretty good Latin American teams coming out of Latin America.
I agree. And what is his name? QE3Q. That guy, right? You always see him around, and he did a really great job, and he did a great job at the World Champion. Yes, from Brazil. But, I mean, we have these players that are well-known throughout the regions, and I'm really excited to see more big names come out of the other regions instead of NA and EU.
It's going to be pretty exciting.
But before we get to the World Championships, we have to get through these finals, which is going to be Paradigm versus TSM. Who expected it to be the 3rd seed from EU and NA?
I really don't think anyone.
No one.
I mean, like, one of these teams making to the finals wouldn't have surprised me.
SunTouch did. I saw a tweet this morning.
SunTouch photoshopped that. I'm pretty sure you photoshopped that. There's no way he predicted Paradigm and Team Solomid. Unless he was like, oh, I have enough fantasy points. What if I just do something crazy? Maybe the 2/3 seeds will make it.
There's probably some other people out there that also predicted it.
I mean, yeah, there's only a certain number. But yeah, I'm sure.
Of course.
I'm sure a few did.
We didn't.
The gamblers did. I didn't. I'm just like, okay, got 1st seed there, maybe a 2nd seed there, 3rd seeds aren't making it.
I'm just like AFK.
So before we get into this game, we're going to talk a little bit about the 2 teams that are coming up. And the first role that we're going to be looking at is the solo lane, which personally I think is going to be one of the most intense lanes during this set. What do you guys think?
I mean, Divios versus Xaylia, it's going to be pretty exciting. It's a rematch from the spring finals where Divios kind of got the best of them. But
they didn't play each other, actually. It was Cyclone Speed.
Okay, I'm thinking Cyclone Speed.
Yeah, that's what you're thinking. Yeah.
As I actually realized it halfway, I was like, okay, how can I get out? Thank you, Aurora. You got me out of it, sort of, for the most part. Not really. I got called out.
God.
So Xaylia was named the MVP for the solo lane over in EU. And TSM, I don't believe they actually had any MVPs voted for.
Boosh, Scars, no. It all went to AFK and Cloud9.
That's right. So do you think that this is going to be one-sided? If Xaylia is the MVP over in EU, then do you think...
I don't think it's going to be too much for the MVPs. I mean...
It's going to be one-sided because it's NA versus EU.
Oh, my God. I can't... I'm not going to join you and Scott Gandhi on the NA train, although NA's better, you know, clearly. But Divios and really the rest of Team Solomid has turned up.
Snoopy too.
They've done
Divios and Snoopy have brought their level. They turned into Super Saiyans.
Yeah, they've done a lot better. You know, looking at Zaylia here, his play yesterday was phenomenal versus Cloud9, and even though they didn't have their full roster, Zaylia played still played out of his mind. And even when Barracuda came back, we actually saw Zaylia bring out a Wukong that went 11-1-7, I think, in the final game, and he even was soloing a Mega a couple times.
Yeah, it was a great character. He picked it to dive Barra, and it worked. So props to Zaylia.
Well, he's going to be going up against Divios, who is definitely not an easy opponent. Who do you think we're going to expect to see out of him? Maybe a Sun Wukong, like you said, any kind of niche picks?
Bologna for sure. He was talking to me. He's like, I got something up my sleeve. You know, it's Divios, so we'll just have to see him and find out.
I mean, he did play Nox his first match, and although TSM did lose that, it was still close. I mean, he still played a phenomenal Nox, which is, I think, one of those things that was kind of like up his sleeve. So I'm interested to see what other things he has up his sleeve. I kind of want to see him play Giannis again. I mean, he was so good at Giannis back in Season 1, but when it became not as viable, we saw it fall off.
Yeah.
Why do you think they're not as viable? Why are mages not really... I mean, they have been recently.
Well,
yeah.
Mages are starting to make a comeback now. We could see the Giannis today out of Divios, but back in Season 1 and back at the start of Season 2 with Hog being so strong, you couldn't really play Mages in the solo lane. So that's why he was steering away from it.
Well, another role that helps the solo lane is the jungler, which Cubo Fred did an amazing job yesterday. I believe he was named Player of the Game for the 4th game?
For sure, at least one or two of them. He really, I believe it was Kali and Ratatosker he brought out.
That Ratatosker play.
His was phenomenal.
It was amazing.
So can you say that it's him and not Ratatosker? Because from what I've heard from all the players, it's Ratatosker, not the player.
I think it's both.
Yeah, both, of course. That Kali play he had too, it's hard to play Kali, and he played it great. So props to his Ratatosker as well. He just was playing amazing the entire time.
Do you think we're going to see a lot of Ratabans?
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, Team Solomid banded every single game against AFK.
We might see the Fenrir, and
In
they might let it through, and then they might pick Fenrir. I know Zaylia plays Fenrir. I know that Garz plays Fenrir, and I know that Cuvo plays Fenrir.
Yeah, Fenrir's a pretty big part of both these teams. And Garz, you know, he was playing a great Fenrir as well.
Amazing.
And both his matchups. And I think Fenrir is kind of the surprise pick in that not only is it back, but it's being played consistently.
And he's really strong, too. I think he's underrated. I think after this tournament's over, well, going into this tournament, I feel like he's underrated. But...
So do you think he's going to be picking Fenrir over Thor? Because we saw him play Thorgars. We didn't really see much Thorgars recently, and that was all people said in Season 1. But he played it yesterday and did a really good job. So do you think we're going to see more Thor or preferably Fenrir?
I think we're going to for sure see Thor, but he'll pick Fenrir if he feels he needs to counter someone like Ratatosker.
I think he prefers the Fenrir over Thor right now.
It almost may be like he's played... This guy has played like 3,000 games of Thor. And, you know, you kind of get bored of a god after a while. And then switching it up to Fenrir, a god that some teams haven't really played against as much, is a great switch up to even throw people off.
Well, he's also really good since Hog's gone. You have to look at it like that. His clear is really good, and his early game is really strong, like Thor's. And he also transitions kind of like Thor as well, to where he's not the best later on, but he's still very solid.
Do you think we're going to see any respect bans for him? It seems that people are just banning out Ao Kwang and Ratatosker.
We saw AFK ban Fenrir in 3 games yesterday, I believe.
That's right.
So, yeah, I think we could see Fenrir bans.
The Fenrir ban, though, was more to force Team Solomid to ban Ratatosker. Because they were first pick, so they banned away the Fenrir after TSM banned the Ao. Because it's like, if you don't ban Ratatosker, we're going to get him, and then the main counter to him is gone.
No, yeah, of course, but Fenrir is still really good.
Yeah,
even without Ratatosker, I feel like them banning it was not just for the Ratatosker. It was just because it's Garz's go-to jungler right now.
Well, one role that I'm really excited for is the mid lane, and that's because a lot of people have been playing Isis. I am a big fan of Isis. Do you think we're going to see Lobster play any Isis?
He played it 1 game, and
it wasn't a good game.
And it was not.
It was not a good game.
To be fair, he was facing like 3 or 4 gods that could just full on dive him, and that was when they were playing an Afro Kali. They kind of like took away Titan's, you know, like niche picks, and it didn't really work because they couldn't make it to the late game. So I mean, they'll pick Isis if they have a composition that can protect them.
Yeah. His Agni was really strong as well, so we
might see that. His Agni was amazing. But what about Boosh? How is he going to be able to counter Lobster?
Yeah, Bush's Agni was also really good. Agni might be a contested pick in the series. Personally, I'm not a big fan of Agni, but it's been working out in this tournament. We could see Kronos. Lobster played it once in the last set.
I think he played it twice in the last set.
He played it twice, and I know Boosh from Worlds. Boosh brought out on Worlds against Cog Prime in the final set. So we both know they play a really good Kronos, so that could be something that we could see.
I want to go back a little bit. Why are you not a fan of Agni in competitive play?
I just feel like he's really hard to play from behind, and he's not that good against the majority of the Guardians right now, just because if you build tanky, his bombs are not going to kill anybody. And if you have a lot of tanky targets in the game and you're bombing the front line, you put your entire kit into somebody and they're only at half health, and you're like, oh my god, I wish I was some other mage. But yeah, that's why I'm not a fan. And he's also really easy to kill for some gods like Fenrir.
Isn't
really
Isis
popular.
also really easy to kill though?
No.
No?
She has a lot of protections and a lot of peel for herself.
Yeah.
And a lot of delay tactics as well. She may not be able to have the mobility at like an instant dash, but she can silence you, stun you. She has Wing Gust, which does have some movement.
That's very annoying to play against.
And then the circle of protection.
Yeah, the 3 also grants her protection. She
It
steals
steals,
protection,
yes.
so that's like another thing people forget about
Yeah.
when they play Isis, which is a pretty big thing. And then the ult reduces damage taken, and it heals, like Adonis was saying, so that's pretty big. And don't forget about her passive. It does give some health regen, and that always helps as well.
So before we move on to supports, there's actually something that I've been wondering, and that I know that a lot of us were talking about while we were watching the games yesterday. Where's Ra?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Ra could be a good pick. I know Lobster and Boosh both play Ra. You know, Boosh almost got a pentakill against my team back in Season 1.
That was when he went 11-0 in Season 1
Yeah.
And
on Raw.
he did. Okay, I'm gonna also hurt myself a little more here. He was disconnected for 5 minutes, and he came back and did it afterwards.
I'm pretty sure didn't they just let the game run on because they were leading so much?
Yeah, and then he came back. They knew he was coming back. They were out of pauses, and at least I didn't feed as much as you in the pro scene.
Well, let's bring it back to the finals,
It's like
guys.
Fenrir support. You got kills. It doesn't count.
Do you think we're going to see Ra at all here? He brings healing. He brings a lot of burst damage.
I think if we see some mid bans, we will. I don't think we're going to see him if all the mids are left open. But Opwash has been a pretty big pick for Team Solomid in a lot of North America.
That's why we might not see Ra either. If Alpwash isn't banned, you can't pick Ra.
Oh, no, at
Yeah,
all.
that's something that we haven't really looked at either. Myself, I just realized that now. If Alpwash is opened, Ra can't be picked because Alpwash's 3 is going to count on the entire team.
He has nothing to escape unless he's going to have to get a Heavenly. And even then,
Yeah.
you don't want to burn the Heavenly all the time just to react to a single slow coming out from Opwash.
Well, let's move on to our Guardians, and I know that we have Trix Tank up on the screen right now, and he did a
His
fantastic...
hair is too good. I'm sorry.
Too good?
His hair is too amazing.
Is that...
That's the only point.
That's it?
His hair, I
Okay.
told him, I was like, I just wish I had your hair.
So it seems pretty homogenous, the supports that we've been seeing. We've seen a lot of Athena, Geb being banned out, Sylvanas. There hasn't really been Sobex or Bacchuses. Why is that?
Yeah, I don't know why we haven't seen those, but we have seen Bologna support.
Yes.
That's right.
emerge.
Well, couldn't you just
Both
say that's
European
because
teams.
Bologna's really good?
Yeah, Bologna is very strong. I'm surprised to see Bologna come out at support because she's more of like, I don't know, she doesn't have that much CC. She has slows, and she has her ult stun. The ult stun doesn't last too long. She's just really annoying to deal with in lane, and she transitions into a pretty good initiator later on, as we saw.
It's
last
really
set.
interesting to see the European teams focus on this Bologna support. When they draft Bologna, it seems to be first or second pick, and it's always going to support. North America, when you see it, it's going to jungle or solo. I think this is going to be a hotly contested pick or ban for these teams because both of them really like to run it, but in different positions.
Does it offer something more as well by having a magic-based hunter, or I guess it would be the carry role in this position, being with Bologna physical
The
support?
Freya, yeah.
Yeah, it does help for sure. I think they also could run Bologna with a physical character, but they need magic damage somewhere, and they're putting in the hunter role, which is good on them.
What about Ionic? How do you guys think that he varies from Trix Tank as a support player?
Varying is different. I mean, Ionic is normally a pretty defensive support, whereas Trix is pretty aggressive because he has aggressive players on his team.
We saw yesterday, though, his Ymir play. Fantastic. Or no, 2 days ago, I'm sorry. Against Fnatic, his Ymir play was on point. It was great. And he also plays Athena extremely well. He played it really well in AFK, against AFK during their comeback.
I think that's important to note is that Paradigm were scrimming Fnatic a lot when they first got here. So Team Solomid is going to go for it having an idea of what these teams like to run or how to play against it. we heard, Snoopy on the interview say that after the first game that we lost to Fnatic, we really had an idea of how to play against them, and they first pick Ymir every single game after that, taking that real key away from Paradigm and giving it to themselves, or excuse me, away from Fnatic and giving it to themselves.
Yeah, TSM's a really good team at adapting. They adapt to AFK so well on the spot yesterday for this tournament.
How do you think they're going to have to adapt to Paradigm? Are they going to have to be more aggressive, maybe a bit more passive, focus on objectives more?
I feel like once they figure out what Paradigm wants to play, what their main strategy is, they could look at it that way. But we can't count Paradigm out. They probably have multiple strategies. We know Trix used to like to play Hercules. We probably won't see Herc today because of all the weakening curses and stuff coming out. But we could see some other weird picks out of Paradigm somewhere else, which would be pretty interesting.
Well, where there is a Guardian, there is a Hunter. And Funballer is the first Hunter that we're going to be looking at, guys, and he's done a fantastic job this weekend. How does he differ from Snoopy?
I'd actually say they're pretty similar players.
Yeah.
I think their playstyle are very similar. They like to dive the back line. Their picks this tournament have been really polar opposites. Funball has been focusing on Freya, and he's 37 and 27 on Freya in this tournament alone.
Wait, so 37 and 27, 37 kills, 27
30
deaths?
kills, 7 deaths.
Oh, 7. I thought you said 27.
No. And then 27 assists.
Ah,
so his
okay.
Freya has been on point.
You were on a team with both Funball and Snoopy,
Yes.
right? So it's kind of cool for you to see both of them landing against each other in the summer finals of a LAN.
It's the Reason Gaming comeback.
Yeah.
I mean, Weekend was on Reason Gaming too. Pecky's on graphics is on Reason Gaming. It's the Reason Gaming throwback. We should just need to rename this.
This
to
is
the
a Reason Gaming
So-
lane that
Yeah,
they're landing against each other.
So why are the guys playing here and you're sitting right?
Listen, I took secured money. Thank you.
So
That's always bad.
he's going to be going up against Snoopy.
You're bad.
And Snoopy again yesterday against AFK, against Allied. Did phenomenal. AFK, I mean, #1 seed, they've been dominating the weekly scene. But what happened? Why did TSM beat out AFK yesterday? How was Snoopy able to beat out Allied?
I think this was just Team Solo Mid. Someone said that looked like Cog Red, not Team Solo Mid.
Yeah, well, the thing is, too, that you have to look at for TSM, they adapted so
Yes.
well. So AFK came out really strong. TSM kind of threw game 1, and they kind of threw both games, honestly. So TSM had a chance to win both of those games, but they didn't. AFK had a chance to win the third game. The first 3 games were really close. So I feel like TSM just adapted better. Another big thing, too, yesterday was when the game paused, I feel like that really slowed AFK's momentum down, and TSM picked up momentum from that. So if they could pick up momentum anywhere in this series, TSM's going to come out really strong.
Is Paradigm going to give them the opportunity to get the momentum, though?
Most EU teams play pretty passive, but Paradigm hasn't been really showing that this tournament. They've been pretty aggressive as well, and I think momentum is going to be a big part. It's weird because we talk about picks and bans and skill and how this factor in, but momentum and how you're feeling as a person is actually really key.
Going on tilt, as they would call it, has
Yes.
affected a lot of players positively and negatively. We've seen some of the best teams lose the launch tournament and the World Championships because they've gone so emotional for it. Do you think these guys here, being the third-seeded teams from both of their regions, feel like they have to prove something more, and maybe that will affect them emotionally? Especially TSM, right? They were the #1. They were the #1 seed for the season 1. Cog Red had a lot to prove, and a lot of people said that they fell off.
I think both teams are feeling really good right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think what's important here is Paradigm feels like they have nothing to lose, and I think they're going to play better because of it.
That I also feel like right now this isn't Worlds this isn't regionals to qualify for Worlds. I think Paradigm is very happy they made it here because they've had terrible performances in the past at these past LANs. And TSM has been always playing pretty well. So for Paradigm to make it here, they're happy with this, but I know they all want to win. If they win this, it'd be awesome for them.
But no, I think that's important, right? They're happy with where they're at, and if they lose, that's the thing. I don't think they're going to get down on themselves, even if they start off bad, even if they lose the first or second game. I think they're going to keep an upbeat attitude because they're happy. They're playing fearlessly. They're playing with nothing to lose. They're going to perform at their best every single game.
Yeah, like yesterday, I was talking to Trix, and you guys even heard it when they went in for the comms. They're all laughing. Funball's like, yeah, let's go late game. They already had 2 Phoenixes down. They were going to lose the game pretty much unless
Titan just like
threw. Yeah.
stood away from their computers. They're like, all right, we're done.
Exactly. So they always keep in high spirits, and that's just really good on them.
So before we get into the finals, everyone, who do you give it to?
North America.
TSM.
TSM. TSM.
You giving it
I'm not gonna
3-0?
chance
Are you gonna?
TSM.
Are you guys on the weekend board?
3-0.
3-0.
TSM.
I can't call 3-0 after I've said.
I called 3-0 yesterday. So
you stick to it. You stick to your bets. That's for sure.
It could turn around again. TSM could be up 2-0 and then Paradigm take it back because that's what happened yesterday. We'll just have to see.
Well, if you guys are just joining us right now, we are getting ready for the finals of the summer finals powered by Curse Voice. But before we get into game, we are going to join our casters.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the commentary desk for the finals here of the Summer LAN. It is going to be Team Solomid going up against the boys from Europe in Paradigm. And a little bit of a unique setup here at this LAN. It's the third seeds battling it out for the #1 position, the 1 seeds battling it out for 3rd, 4th, and the 2nd seeds battling out for 5th, 6th.
I mean, I don't know how unique that really is, considering how many lands we've had our 4th seeds win.
It's like EU lands from yesteryear, where we'd see Coast win out of nowhere and things like that. Yeah.
Right, yeah, Coast, SK constantly winning. And then in North America, COG Red coming in as 4th seed. Everyone thought they were going to get demolished by COG. They win. Then they beat the then Dignitas roster. Like, we're just back to that.
Yeah, that was a really great event where COG Red just trashed Cognitive Prime. I mean, like, just the play was just. And of course, joining us on the desk, Jeff Hinla from Cloud9, formerly known as Cognitive Prime, World Championship Smite winners from 2015.
Hey, you won Worlds. Come on.
I mean, yeah, I'm all right with it.
Yeah, you'll be okay. You'll be okay. Yeah, so we're going to be your commentary team, guys, moving into the finals. It is going to be a best of 5 in this contest. That's first of 3 wins to take this one down. And, well, all things told, it's looking like it's shaping up to be a pretty interesting one overall. Paradigm, the big question mark for me is still them. Can they perform against, a top NA team? We saw them do pretty well yesterday. Can they do it again today? Let's take a look at Paradigm's real guys. Take it away.
Paradigm. Fun baller. Bricks tank. Lobster. Hugo friend. Zalia.
And well, when you think Paradigm, at least for me, it starts and ends with Tricks Tank here at LAN.
Yeah, I mean, we go back to the launch tournament, the random Guan Yu Warhorse charge into 5 people to steal that Fire Giant. It's just one of the craziest things we've ever seen.
I've loved playing against Trix. He's one of the very, very old supports in this game.
Yes.
And whenever I watch him play, it's fantastic.
He's got that 2012 mark, yeah?
Yeah, he does.
Real old school. And he's always played that Warrior Guardian archetype, even before we had that traditional support role.
Yeah, if you are a support role player in Smite or a fan of them, you're in for a treat today.
Yeah.
As on the other side of the ball, it's TSM's Ionic, very much known for being one of the top premier supports in North America, along with Jeff Hinla. And, well, I think that's going to be a big indicator of this game, especially for the first few games, is how well the support players are able to play. Will Tricks Tank get Geb, or will it be going to Ionic? And one thing that was really interesting to me is, as you saw in the last European set that TSM was in, Ionic drafted Ymir a lot in the support role, and actually asking them about it, he was like, we spammed Ymir games in scrims for months straight to prepare to play European teams. So interestingly enough, it looks like they're going to be ready for this one. Let's take a look at TSM's Real and see how they're going to deal with Paradigm.
Team Solomid. Snoopy. Ionic. Debouche. Degars. Emios.
The end of that reel, of course, showing a little bit of the potential of the solo laner from TSM, Divios, taking down the rather unanimous world's best player, Cyclone Spin, yesterday in a rather dramatic fashion.
Yeah.
It's possible that he's going to have maybe a roadblock here with Zalia. Zalia, a very non-traditional solo laner, just like Cyclone Spin, but Zalia does have a little bit more of a tank presence, characters like Wukong, Hercules, etc.
We saw him play a lot of Aphrodite, a lot of Wukong in previous sets in this tournament. So, frontliner maybe the name for Zalia here. And, well, as we've seen this entire tournament, Bologna probably going to be a big swing pick in this event.
Bologna should, I don't understand when Bologna stopped becoming this character that everyone should be afraid of. Yesterday, her win ratio was massive.
Yeah, she did very, very well. And yeah, it's been so far an interesting contest, and we are moving into the P's and B's. It's Paradigm versus TSM, game number 1 in the first pick, first ban position. It's the boys in black and yellow. We're riding along with Funballer here as the bans come through, and Fenrir and the Rat banned out right away there. Fenrir ban makes the Ratatoskr ban basically obligatory in the first pick position.
Right. I mean, if first pick says we're not going to play Fenrir, it means they're really looking for Ratatoskr. This must be Ao Kuang here, which means Paradigm is basically guaranteed Bologna, although Ymir has been a huge flex pick for Europe.
They may take Ares, Ymir, one of the kind of traditionally used supports in the top pick position, but Ao Kuang likely to be the ban from TSM here. No, they'll ban Freya! They're going to leave it open. Okay, so they're going to challenge Kiva Fred's Ao Kuang.
And yeah, instantaneous. I think this is the second time that Ao Kuang has made it through picks and bans with a 100% ratio.
Yeah, he did. In the last set, it went the way of Fnatic picked it up and did not win with it.
That's true. Yeah, Captain Twig did not get started. Bologna Athena coming out from TSM here, very similar to what AFK was looking for yesterday. Athena was a very popular pick, so there is still flex potential here. It could be Athena jungle, Bologna solo, and they could still have room for a support, so there's some ambiguity.
Athena doesn't feel like a Gar's god to me.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. He's very assassin archetype, loves circuits, loves things, of course, like Thor. Jeff, what about you? Athena right to support?
I think it's going to be Athena support. You've seen Ionic play it. He is a great Athena. What I am scared here of is this. Playing with any support is just going to be horrifying.
A Muzen Cobb?
Yeah, and it's actually pretty smart to draft away the Ymir there, because Ymir would have been a really good jungler here versus the Kuang, as you mentioned. Any additional CC you can get is good, but Muzen locked in.
1 out of 100 games here, and he has been picked one time, has a 100% win rate.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting god, right? I mean, it's really the pick position is really interesting, because there's very little priority needed. I mean, Muzen Cobb's going to be available in the draft. See him taking third here. It's more to indicate that they don't want to draft their mid laner and soul laner this early, more so than the value of Muzen, but Rom locked into the other side, and something we didn't mention is that Rom going to be a very, very pivotal pick here in this match.
Snoopy with a ridiculous ratio of snipe accuracies. I mean, it's crazy. And with that, I like the fact that they locked this in to get against a Muzen Cobb, because it's a character that can maybe utilize the Stinger against him by taking to the sky. He won't be able to really get a lot of use out of that cripple. But remember, guys, for those of you who might be joining us for this broadcast who haven't played in a while, a Muzen Cobb recently received a disarm to his kit. If the bees stick on a person for 4 seconds and you can extend the duration with auto attacks, it will disarm their opponent for 1 second. And it's very strange because no one's used to it yet. It feels very random.
It's extremely hard to play around. Like you mentioned, it was new, but even if it wasn't new, no matter how long that's in the game for, it is so hard to play around just something ticking down on you.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, how do you count that 4 seconds? Be like, okay, I'm not going to be able to attack in 2.6.
Now imagine when you get into your public games tomorrow and it's Bologna Muzen Cobb lanes everywhere and you never get to attack. But Agni drafted her from Team Solomid. Always just kind of an unsurprising, Agni was available.
Has been the focal point of balance ever since he originally lost his 2-second stun, which was a good thing. That was way back in 2012. He's always been like the center of things.
No, I actually think that he got into the best spot when the dash lost CC immunity instant on startup.
That's true.
Like the 2-second stun was just kind of like clown shoes. Like that needed to go just because it was like the only range stun of the game and it was 2 seconds long. But yeah, the dash no longer being immune, because that dash starts up instantly. Like it's a 1 frame start, and then it gave you CC immunity at activation. So it was basically impossible to lock him down.
Chrono's going to be locked in for Paradigm. Most likely the mid laner, obviously. Okay, solo possibilities here.
Yeah, probably it's got to be, right? Because Ymir has to be the support here as the only Guardian. No one else really has the potential.
They wouldn't put a Muzen Cobb in solo, right?
I can't imagine versus Bologna why they would do that.
Well, I mean, Chronos the same thing, right?
At least Chronos has spells.
That's true. That's true. I mean, so does Muzen Cobb. I mean, he's very close to that almost traditional hunter caster with that swarm doing, what is it, like 6,000 damage, Jeff?
Yeah, something like 7,000.
7,000?
TSM with their final pick, it will be Tyr, and that's going to be going to the jungle here. So we were kind of wondering, what are they going to do to make up their control versus this Ao Kuang? And the answer is Tyr, who obviously can power cleave him to death.
I was actually expecting Wukong here. Divios yesterday was
But see, exactly that, right? Like, if they pick the Wukong, they have such little reliable CC. And not that Fearless is the most reliable CC in the game, but Blink Fearless is pretty reliable onto a target that doesn't see you coming with wards.
Plus, Blue Power Cleave is going to keep him out of execute range, forcing Ao Kuang to choose different targets.
Well, yeah, so does Somersault Cloud, though, to that effect, right, with Wukong.
Well, one's an 8-second cooldown, one's 110 or some ridiculous number.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, so, will we see the meditation again coming out, perhaps, to deal with the executes as we saw last time?
That's Salve.
Yeah.
Those are different items.
Oh, Salvation, that's right.
It's different items,
right.
Bart.
I'm sorry.
Come on, man.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
It's the green meditation. Meditation green edition.
I have that shirt.
Well, Mr. Hinla, I'll ask you to take a look at these compositions here, and who do you think has the edge in this draft?
I think TSM has the more well-rounded comp. I think if Paradigm gets to that 35-minute mark, I don't know how you're dealing with it, right? So there's only one front line in Ymir, but there's 4 targets that have to die.
And none of them can, right?
Like, the AMC is the only one that can.
Yeah,
but if you're
that's true.
chasing AMC and committing onto AMC,
You're going to get hit by a monster.
you're going to get destroyed.
Yeah, and kind of a good point there, right? If somehow Funballer draws even through the laning phase, it's going to be a really tough
Zalia
time here.
is Scylla. So, we were kind of right. Lobster is going to take Kronos to the mid. We saw him do this previously in the sets against Cloud9 when Agni was taken and Isis was taken.
And he did just fine.
He did fantastically. He's really showing that Kronos mid is...
I don't know if I would go that far.
What?
Fantastically.
Oh, I think he did.
I think he stalled the lane and farmed. I mean, I think that...
That's what Kronos does?
Well, he did what he needed to do. Like, he wasn't making big plays for his team, but I think it was coming off the back of what was, like, just one of the most probably horrific performances that he could have ever dreamed of on his Isis, where he was like 6 levels behind and died a bajillion times, right? Yeah. Like, to go and then be like, I'm gonna play Kronos was pretty ambitious, and then played it in like this kind of really, really calm, conservative manner, and it worked out really well for them. And I think that is what makes sense in this lineup again as well, right? Rely on Ao Kuang to make the plays. You don't need to force anything as Kronos.
Cubo Fred, I don't think we've seen him play Ao Kuang yet at this LAN.
No.
In fact, didn't get a lot of play with him during the season as well, so this is kind of new for us. I'm interested to see what he's going to do in terms of build, if he'll favor the Polynomicon early on, Soul Reavers, things like that, or is he going to look more to that, Captain Twig Wingblade variation.
From what I understand, talking to the pro players, overall, Ao Kuang is almost exclusively going to be purchasing Bancroft Talon and Magic Power items over any kind of in-hand.
Yes. Wingblade, though, of course, giving him extra movement speed is very important. So here's the now extremely beneficial, what we call Paradigm Start. They're going to be doing back camps and the speed at the same time, utilizing the 80-foot range to give all that experience to the mid lane, still getting level 2 at the tri-camp. You will see Team Solomid has adapted this completely.
Well, yeah, we don't. Do we know that? That's what we were joking about in the last set, right? On day 1, we saw both of the teams do it, and it was like, is TSM going to be really upset that we called it the Paradigm Start? Well, no, just because they played second?
Divio said, oh yeah, we stole that.
Okay, great. Well, there we go. The Paradigm Start it is. Locked in, ladies and gentlemen. Take it to ranked.
Oh, man. I also like the AFK start as well, where you're starting at the blue buff, but I think it needs to be less. We need to do these starts every time and more like what comp do we have and where is it going to be beneficial?
I completely agree with that. With how all the maps changed recently, every game's kind of like, how do we start and what's the most effective start? There's not a clear-cut way anymore.
So right here, this is, we talked about how Cubo Fred may not have an affinity with the character. He had 1 dragon left and he didn't throw it. Now, you remember, you do not incur the cooldown until all of those dragons are gone. He just wasted 4 seconds on that cooldown by not throwing that.
That's like, what, 50 gold?
In this case, it could have been First Blood. Who knows?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's mechanically, Ao Kuang has some intricacies to him. The kind of the sword meter is not very readily apparent exactly what that's doing for you. There's some shenanigans
going on there. Really understand what I do
want to talk about is Muzen Cobb kind of going for the Devil's Glove build up here into Rom. I'm a little bit surprised to not see Transcendence, just because I think it's so good on this god.
I 100% agree. Jeff, we'll defer to you on this. You're in this lane all the time. I expected Transcendence. He has the Dev's Gloves. What do you think?
Well, right now, what it seems to me is that Ymir and AMC are just winning the lane, right? They're not going to get out-pushed by Athena Rom, and maybe they're not looking for kills. Maybe they're just looking for that transition. Because, like I said, when this team gets to late game, I don't think they can lose.
Well, I mean, if they get the Hives leveled, looking at 11 or 12, and they have, another spell maxed, if he has that Dev's Gloves, even with the debuff now that Gold Fury applies, not giving full lifesteal, it'll still give them a much better chance of getting early objectives, and I think that might be important. But he will lose damage.
Yeah, but I mean, the Dev's Gloves into Boots build-up is really no faster than Transcendence into Aussie. It's a little bit more efficient, but not by a ton. And Transcendence Aussie gives you, relatively speaking, the same kill potential against an objective. Really, you're missing out on attack speed, but on Muzen, Hives providing you the HP 5 and attack speed, you can kind of make that up. So
not to mention, we should talk about the fact that his abilities scale very hard, and Transcendence gives you a very much larger pool of damage instantaneously, whereas Dev Gloves must be stacked before you're really going to feel it.
Yeah, that's true. And kind of the rule of thumb for Smite is any ability, any kind of dot-based abilities, anything that hits multiple times scales, generally speaking, very, very highly, often over 100%. And a big reason why Muzen Cobb does so well with raw power.
Well, he hits level 5 here. It looks like they're gesturing for rotations. Left side mid camp's about to spawn. You're going to see a Sentry Ward come down here. And look at that. It's spotted. You're going to see that small VGS used. Cubo, Fred, Lobster. We have a 3v4 here. This looks real good for Paradigm.
Yeah,
Whoa!
Paradigm has... Oh, Garza is going to go in with the Bellona. Now comes out the Glacial Shards, and into the ultimate goes Tricksank. That's just a zone, and the mid camp secured on the back of that ultimate, it looks like, but can he make it out? Okay, Rom to the sky. Tricksank, 1, 2, 3.
Got him. Snoopy doesn't miss.
Snoopy makes that look easy.
He's actually cheating. Like, we said it yesterday. I mean, there's no way that he's a human being. Like, he did that, and it looked like that's what was supposed to happen. That is one of the hardest abilities to hit in Smite, period.
Jeff, how tough is it to give up first blood on the Guardian?
It's gotten a lot better, but it's still really hard to catch up because Ionic should have his boots first, and there it is. He has his boots right now. Now Ionic's just going to continue to snowball.
Yeah, as the Talaria continues to kick in, the bonus MS, getting to the camps faster. We may have another engagement over here on the right side as TSM's looking to steal away this blue buff and strip it from Zalia and Fred. Zalia got to play this pretty carefully here with that purple pot still running. Although it's it's in his last minute of effectiveness, he maybe he'll be able to get away with a death here and not lose too much. But Cubo Fred's just going to help him secure that crush, going to lock it in there, and Zalia's going to sentinel right over the wall and be perfectly happy.
That's exactly what they needed to do there. That's exactly what they needed. If Zalia had waited any longer, Cubo waited any longer, the blue buff was at risk. They needed to make sure he did it against the wall and not pull it out so he can get back into lane. Right there, Garz and Divio said, hey, I think we could push this wave and then try to go for the blue. That way, if it forces the split, they'll lose experience to the tower, but very smart play coming out from Paradigm.
So, Jeff, is this Muzen Cobb, is it Funballer wants to play Muzen, or do you think that they draft that to keep that out of TSM's hands, considering they have an Ao Kuang?
I don't think they're really drafting it to take it away from TSM. I think Funballer...
So you don't think it has anything to do with the kind of the dotting versus an Ao Kuang and the reveal and all that shenanigans of that interaction?
Probably not.
Just...
Yeah, they probably just...
Got him.
Oh, did he catch him in the roll? I think he did, yes. So no more roll available, but that Athena ultimate damage mitigation going to do a lot, especially against the bees. I mean, they basically do nothing once you start getting DR stacked on you.
Oh, they're going right for it. Tricks. What? Did he miss that?
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Yes, he did.
Oh, my. A little bit off the mark there. Confound. Not going to be throwing Tricks Tank, I'm sure, counting his lucky stars that happened the way it did.
Teleport to towers, rank 1. It was selected on Divios' tier. Scylla still has not opted into that yet, so Divios will pull ahead ever so slightly in experience here now as he'll be getting back to the lane a bit faster. But Scylla, it's a really tall... It's a tough opportunity to make it into the mid stages of the game with one active slot, not being defensive.
That's true. I mean, she's going to need beads. It's still possible for Heavenly Agility, although I'm definitely expecting the Combat Blink.
Yeah, I'm expecting Blink, yeah, for sure, out of the Scylla. It's almost...
He didn't pick that up. Pick that up. Thank you.
Yeah, almost 100% I would say that it's going to be a Blink for Zalia. They need the initiation with this lineup. That's really the one big thing they're going to be deficient in, right? Is if Tricks Tank is being the initiator, they won't have any counter initiations. They really need Zalia to kind of get in there and get those Sycoms to set up that kind of re-initiation from Tricks Tank.
That's why I'm very surprised that we don't see the Blink on Ao Kuang. I mean, realistically, they're going to have him get in without using the water teleport, because if he uses that decoy early, he has no escape potential.
6 minutes into this one, guys. First blood still in favor of TSM.
Got him again.
Caught the dash again. Trickstank has been everywhere on this. Amir trying to make his way to the back line is Fred. Fred going to start bursting down Boosh, who bursts down Trickstank before he goes down.
Cubo's too low.
Gar's in execute range, but they take down Cubo. He's unable to find the execute there. And even when the Muzen copy is not enough. Zalia looking for the ultimate, not going to find it. We'll get the crush on a Boosh, and that'll be enough for a kill. 1, 2, 3 from Snoopy. Doesn't get the third shot on the Funballer. Funballer liable to go down here. Over the top comes here. Divios dunks it in, and it's good. Here comes the Athena. Bunch of damage on the Lobster, the taunt, the shield wall. No rewind. Down he goes. Now it's Divios so low. Zalia going to sentinel away. It'll end up being a 3-for-1 trade in favor of, no, a 4-for-1 trade for TSM.
You know, Cubo, poor guy in the back line, looking to get the decoy, or the execute off. Beautiful body blocking. Hits the only target of the 3 that wasn't in execute range, and with that falls immediately. Ult down, destroyed. TSM counters perfectly. You know, it's funny. 2 times in a row now, Tricks Tank has caught someone out of their dash with freeze. One of the hardest things to do in the game, and he gets bodied for it.
Honestly, what I'm seeing here is Trix is in very aggressive positions. As you saw earlier for the first blood, he was in a 4v3 scenario, but it just doesn't seem like his team's ready to pounce on, the freezes he gets.
And that's a shame, right? That's what Ymir's all about, getting to that front line and getting those big freezes and getting your team in there. But like we talked about, this is 4 squishy characters that can't really dive in all that well. And when we saw, I just said I would like to see the Blink. It's coming online right now for Ao Kuang. If he had that last time instead of the water decoy, he could have escaped. But a little bit late.
Yeah, you're right. And that's kind of what we were hinting at earlier as well, is that once Amir is in and he's dumped his spells, they're pretty much 100% reliant on Lobster hitting a really good time stop to kind of continue that fight unless they blow someone up right away. And that's, well, the composition is kind of centered around picking off single targets or kind of 2 targets really quickly with the Scylla.
Right.
Funballer, Stinger, and Cubo Fred able to execute. So,
well, I was talking with Comfrey after the last set. saying that I think Kronos is really good in the mid. I don't think he's great in the Hunter role right now because he doesn't have that huge burst potential that every other Hunter has until like major late game, and that's only if he's unchecked. Rewind is the 50-50, right? Oh, speaking of 50-50s, like there was probably 10% of him getting out of there.
Lobster rewinds after hitting the time stop. There's engagement continuing in the mid lane. Boosh is from trouble, but the Athena ultimate is there. Execute coming out from Alkwong. Yes, it will be good. Boosh is down as Beads 1 used in the last engagement. Able to re-engage now is the Alkwong, and he'll go in onto Gars. One more shot going to do it, but the taunt from Ionic will save them for now. Lobster with a time stop. Split the difference, hit the field goal there. One unable to secure any more damage, and Ionic do his best to keep this lane from pushing.
Again, I think I go back to the
left side, Brandon. Snoopy, he's getting a lot of damage on this tier 1 here.
Well, he's unchecked. A Muzenkov is not a character that's going to function very well from behind. Fumball with a 2-level disadvantage.
Yeesh. So, it's kind of an interesting thing, right? Like, Jeff, tell me a little bit about the lane dynamics once the tier 1 is down. It's kind of like you open up farm for the enemy by opening up that side of the map, but, obviously you get that bonus gold.
Snoopy's almost out of mana. He's going to have enough to roll here, and that's about it. He's getting closer to it. He's being very, very patient.
There's the disarm, the wall. Glacial Strike on the mark is huge there. Force use beads.
Does he not?
Where's the stun? 4 more seconds for the stun.
Dude, he didn't even need to roll. Like, that was crazy. He got away from that.
The biggest thing with tier 1 towers is it's not the gold, obviously, and yeah, you do give them a bit of free farm because they don't have to push up as far. Obviously they're losing the lane. It's buff control, and then it's map control of like in their jungle. Their back camps open up, their purple opens up, and their red opens up. Which I think you're going to see TSM abuse. Yeah,
do you think then we're going to see probably a timing push here into the Gold Fury, given that they've taken down that tier 1 pre-10?
Fairly soon.
Well, the third spawn of the mid camp's coming up here now. Well, I guess it'll be the 4th now. They spawned at 0 seconds. Damn designers changing the game on me. But yeah, coming back up now and secured on the left side by TSM. And yeah, you may have noticed if you've been a Smite fan for some months now or years, you'll notice it. A lot of the commentary prior to this patch was very centric around those mid camps, and now they've kind of come into a little bit of a different state. Yesterday, I kind of described them as now they're much more of a tactical objective, less of a strategic objective overall. It's something that could kind of help get your mid laner a little bit ahead or recover, and less kind of this obligatory, always need to get them every time sort of thing. Jeff, is that something you would agree with?
Yeah, so mid camps are definitely very important. If you have mid camp control, it'll keep you in the game if you're losing other places, right? But if you're losing, half of the mid camps, you're not.
Who is this?
You're not gonna lose the game.
They're going to use the Athena ultimate as well. They've just decided it's time to try to kill Zaylia, and in they go. Fearless not going to be a big factor now, but he's going to use it to get out of the I'm a Monster.
Nice
Zaylia
dodge.
does not make it over the wall. Taunted. Roma Invicta. Gars with a disarm, and Ionic with a shield wall pop to get the kill. They invested a lot, though, for that, and in response, Paradigm Gaming is going to go for the Gold Fury, but as Jeff mentioned, no tier 1 there. They don't have anywhere to fall back to.
Oh my God!
No, Paradigm still takes it away. Boosh unable to snipe it with his bomb. Snoopy moving forward. Can he get it? He's used his ultimate as well at this point, unable to secure that. They tried to time it. They almost had it perfectly there. Lobster, he's going to rewind. What a rewind. Will he take him back far enough? Yes, around the wall he goes, and away goes Lobster. Can they run him down? Now Snoopy dashes forward.
Cripple.
He gets the cripple. 1, 2, 3 shots. He'll get stunned out. One more shot to do it. Ionic with the reach isn't enough. Doesn't matter. Boosh secures a kill. 8-2.
I can't believe, like, as much as Paradigm had control over that Gold Fury, that belonged, in my opinion, to TSM. Those Agni bombs were right on point. It just happened to be like 0.1 second off the mark there, right before it went down. Boosh a little bit late on the timing, but I love the rotation there. TSM, though, I mean, let's take a look at the graphs. This is like the first time we're going to see them in this game. You'll note that was an early Gold Fury. It's not going to net them a lot, and with that, it winds up being even experience, but it does give them a small gold. No, actually, that wound up being completely even. That's a normal trade.
Yeah, and I don't know so much Boosh there, it's the combination of Boosh and Snoopy is what you're looking for, right? I mean, that's talking to the pros about kind of the life after Hog. It's kind of come now down to communication and being able to coordinate multiple abilities to burst the Gold Fury, and I think what happened there was that the Agni Bomb, Boosh was calling that he had fired it, but the delay meant that Snoopy's shot came in before it, and they just got a little bit off the mark and Paradigm able to secure.
Taking it with Zaylia here, just suffered a 3-man gank that he almost survived. You'll notice the I'm a Monster pop, not the actual attack, but the actual activation of the ability was flawless, because he did it in response as a CC immune measure to stop Divios from pushing him off the tower line. But missing the hit, obviously missed the 1-for-1 trade. I love the fact that he sentineled away and got out of the fight completely, at least long enough for them to have to use more ults and more CC to actually burn him. that forced Ionic to have to stick around longer, which means he couldn't rotate fast enough to the Gold Fury.
Yeah, it definitely opened up the Gold Fury for them, and it was a nicely timed kill as well for TSM as the Warlock Sash was just coming online for Xaylia, stopping his stacks a bit. In comes Ionic, he's going to find the top, but it's not going to hit anybody as Trixtank avoids it. Tier 1 does go down in the mid lane, and the fight continues. Trix in a lot of trouble as Amir, and this is why we see Amir fall out of favor, especially in North America. If he is able to get slowed down and kited, there's very little he can do. Cuba Fred, he's going to pop through his jungle, now invisible. Divios is going to spot him as he comes out of invisibility. Surging forward now is Paradigm. They want to take back control of their back jungle camps here, and TSM looks like they're going to let them do it. Ionic goes for the taunt. He's going to make Xaylia use his ultimate, but eat an I'm a Monster in response. That's going to be a huge cooldown off the side of Paradigm, and TSM's going to have free reign of their jungle.
TSM just laughed at that I'm a Monster. That was the tickle attack right there. That was the tickle monster. That was him. Ionic took like 200 damage.
Well, I mean, look at Ionic's build. He realizes there's only 1 fizz damage on the team, and he's building accordingly.
I love this Spirit Robe, right? Because it's going to be a massive reduction of defense, or rather of damage across the board onto him. There's so many different forms of hard CC that will proc it, and this is going to allow him to do a lot.
Jeff, why do you think TSM is so heavily looking to push Xaylia out of the lane specifically here? You can see they've rotated Snoopy over as well, and they're going to 3-man this tower down.
I think they're just looking to abuse the fact that it's a mage in the solo, right? And
okay, so it could have been anybody. It's not Cell's late game potential. It's just the fact that they can.
If it was any mage.
Gotcha. Well, the fight going to break out here, and Trixtank once again struggling to close the distance as the Amir and get out of this one. Now the slow from Bologna coming in. Snoopy chain slowing him with those astral arrows as well. Taunt coming in onto 2. Cuba Fred, obviously the high priority target here as the Alquang, but he hasn't got much done so far in this game. It's been all team solo mid. Now 10 for 2 at 14.5 minutes.
Even with the Gold Fury loss, you can see a major advantage in gold for TSM's side. The team fights have gone almost exclusively in their favor. Hugo Fred has been unable to get started. He's either blinking in a little bit too early or blinking in late. He's ulting targets that are maybe... the one time we saw him get the execute, he picked a target as soon as they hit execute range, even though he started to fall lower and lower as he were going down. It was a guaranteed kill. He couldn't follow up off of it. I go back to the fact that I don't know if Cuvo has been playing this god enough. This, to me, seems like a position where they probably should have been banning Alquang instead of trying to bait for it, because this isn't Cuvo Fred's type of god, in my opinion. I want to see him on those janky Awelix picks. Get Cabrakan back in there. Stick with the comfort zone.
You know, I think that Alquang is a comfort pick for them. I mean, I think he's played them a lot. I know that they value the god very highly. Trix was talking a bit about specifically Cuvo's build-up on Alquang and Awelish and how he thought that, you know, that was one of his strengths. So he had mentioned it to me. You know, they've at least been playing it in scrims some, but yeah, I would agree. It's not been kind of, as it often is when we see gods banned out like this, so high priority, it's really only a couple players in the world that make them really, really worth that. And often they'll get through and be a little bit lackluster. And we've seen that from Twig, and now we're seeing shades of it from Cuvo, but this one is far from over. At 1-1-1, he still has a huge opportunity to make an impact on this game.
That's true. I mean, late game Alquang is nothing to mess with. I've seen him literally global people. Now, for those of you who might not know what global means, there's a global cooldown on abilities. Almost every ability will incur a 1-second cooldown before you can use something else. It happens for a lot of gods in a lot of situations. He can literally kill you in one cooldown. We've seen it happen multiple times. I would like to see it happen again, but him going into the Wingblade will delay any form of that until like 35, 40 minutes.
Looks at this. TSM, they're just going to start the Gold Fury, and Paradigm, they have no response to this. Yeah, they're recalling in their jungle. Trixtank is walking forward as the Amir, but at 0-4, 0-5 now, or 0-4, yeah, he just can't even get close. If he gets slowed, if he gets hit by one Astral Arrow from Snoopy, it's death.
Yeah, back to the grass. You can see 5,000 gold now for Team Solomid, even losing a Gold Fury. They're 5K ahead at 17 minutes.
This got out of hand so fast. Both those, all tier 1s down here around the 15-minute mark.
I think the major issue they're having here is the first initiation and the second initiation. I think you're feeling it now. TSM's just had pressure the entire time off those very beginning fights.
It's a 2-man taunt here just outside the tier 2. Eagles rally over the top as well. Fred in quite a bit of trouble, and Fred in quite a bit of hurt now as he does take a spill. Big kill. Every time you see the Alquang go down, it's a big deal. Snoopy's going to turn and fight here. I think with the Athena ultimate coming in, he's going to dash back into the lane. No, it's going to Athena take the front line as TSM continues. Look at this. It's just such a good timing push. I mean, they just go in and they just dominate the right side of the map as that orange buff comes back up and the blue buff, and they'll take both of those as their own and pressure the tier 2 on the right.
Yeah, they're probably going to find this tier 2 here. It's going to be up to Xaylia to find the wave clear. He should have most of it. No, missing a few archers. Trix in the back line is going to be a deterrent here. Beautiful ult to push them off the front, but in the back line, they're still trying to control these creeps, chasing into the jungle now. They could be getting baited. The tier 2's getting lower.
Yeah, Shell was popped right as that Amir ultimate came out, so it did maybe a bit less damage than he was expecting. The 2-man taunt as well coming out. Snoopy, he's going to take the sky. 1, 2, 3. Fun
Are you
baller
kidding
1.
me?
Fun baller 2. Down he goes
my.
to Snoopy. Snoopy gonna find a lot of damage on that third shot as well. Let's go back into the fight here. Lobster in some trouble over the monster. I'm a monster coming in as well. Boosh securing the kill onto the Chronos. Running away with very little HP is Ionic. Now it's Boosh trying to make his way out. Zalia crush. Aegis away. Glacial Strike is there, and Zalia gets it with the in-hand. And this is Cubo's opportunity to make an impact, but no. He's isolated out by Snoopy.
Oh
Eagles
my
rally again.
God.
That cooldown is quite low, boys. Forget about that one. Zalia Sentinel is used. He got slowed. Slowed again. Disarm. One more shot to do it. Will you find it? Snoopy tries the Astral Arrow through the Phoenix, doesn't find it. Wall off the mark from Trix to keep him in there. But tier 2 to fall on the right side now in credit of Team Solomid, and this one has been very, very one-sided.
And we're going to go back to the graphs here. You'll see another spike straight down. This went from 5K to 7,500, a 50% increase to their lead.
Yeah, we're looking now at the 19-minute mark. The gold advantage growing ever so closely to 10K. And as you see the spectator pointing out there, 9,000 player damage nearly coming out from Zalius Scylla. But a lot of that is like him hitting 3-man crushes while dying underneath his tier 2. So,
that's right.
I mean, it may be a little bit misleading. He hasn't been hitting a lot of I'm a Monsters so far, but
this is what Lobster does. Lobster is low damage, high deaths in game 1, and then he comes back and wins, right? That's what he's just done
yeah,
all
and Chrono
weekend.
sitting at 4,500 there. It'll be some time before he's, really a big damage dealer anyway as Chronos.
That's true. I mean, he needs, well, he went to the Warlock Satch, which is always a good idea, but he'll need the Chronos Pendant or Rada Tahuti finished up in that first slot after getting that Demonic Grip online. Once he has both of those items, it doesn't matter how long the game goes on. If he gets that core online, he's going to be swinging.
No, yeah, looking at the time spent dead graph, you see 4 members of TSM yet to take a spill.
Yeah, and 108 across the board here for the top 3.
Yeah,
It's very rare that you see people tied in time spent dead, let
because
alone
they're all
3
dying at the same
people.
time. Yeah. Take a look at Divios' build here. What a build up! I mean, just a very well
That's the
crafted build.
That's the MOBA build.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the. So what that is a Silver Talisman, which is outside of Frostbound Hammer, the most stat efficient gold item in the game.
Yes.
And then you also have to the right of it there's the Emerald Talisman, which is pretty close, not quite there, and that's actually also on the Athena as well. It's just wildly cost-efficient magical protection.
See, this actually shouldn't be allowed because I've never played a role-playing game in which you're allowed to wear 2 talismans. They cancel each other out, man.
Agni can do it.
Yeah. What? Oh, because he's got 2 heads.
He's got 2 heads.
Oh. That racial bonus, though.
Yeah, there you go.
Another tier 2 going to fall here. Team Solomid extends their lead drastically.
And now they're looking at the tier 2, as you mentioned, Paradigm Gaming. They look like they want to defend. Let's actually take a listen in with Team Solomid as they aggress the tier 2 into Paradigm.
You want to back and re-up?
We just
for
skipped
fire?
fire.
They're giving it
You
up.
just back and re-up for fire?
Get mid camps, yeah. Get mid camps.
I'm gonna go on the
I'm gonna grab blue. 19. So, Alcorn's right here.
Careful, the Vios. They could all just like 5-man you. Even still.
I have
Look
a
how
lot.
much damage Alcorn combo did to me.
That's a lot of damage.
None.
Man.
Like, it literally, it did 100 damage, then I just like instant heal.
Oh, Bush is BMing. Alright.
Get BM.
Shout out Divios.
I'm backing and re-upping for fire.
You're just looking at you.
We can just pressure gold again if we
I'm
want.
gonna get one more wave in mid. And then
I think
I'm gonna...
we're like just way too far ahead.
Yeah, this game's over.
I think we should still do gold either way. Like, why not?
I'm getting bulwark, so
Back up
We
profile.
just, I mean, obviously we can't let them like try to sneak fire. That's all.
yeah.
The only thing that's like a worry.
He's up
That's
at any
it.
point.
After that, nothing else on the map for them to get. They can literally get nothing.
Backing for...
Well, we're back at the commentary desk now, and as you heard, TSM feeling very confident in their position in this game.
To quote Divios, his comment did 100 damage. Right.
Yeah.
That was accurate. Was
You know,
that good,
you
Jeff?
hear
Not
us.
bad.
It was good.
You hear us often kind of joking about it if you've ever attended an event and heard us kind of talk about Divios, but you got a little insight there into exactly why. He's like a little joyful elf of destruction.
I mean, he is, though. It's
Yeah.
not like he is.
Yeah, he
a
is that.
joyful
You're right. Yeah,
elf.
it's a simile, not a metaphor.
But yeah, it literally did 100 health, right? And then he healed it back up with that Emerald Talisman. Like, that's crazy. That's Alquang. He's supposed to one-shot you. He's going into, it looks like, magic focus here. This is likely to be either Spear of the Magus or Obsidian Shard. At this point, the Obsidian Shard is probably necessary. Although getting into that Spear could increase Scylla's damage. And realistically, they got to get someone to get big enough to take those swings.
Story of this game to me has been Tier Bologna leading all players in farm against a team that's like super thin with an Amir.
Yeah.
And it's just like, there's just no way that they can win it. I mean, the front line is just going to collapse immediately. You've seen how easy it was for them to kill the Amir. And it basically comes down to Cubo Fred like killing 14 people every fight to like have any opportunity to get any objectives off the back of this, because Tier Bologna, like, you got to basically like bend, not break. You got to let them like surge through your front line and try to pick up those mages as they roll past or something. It's a really, really tough team fight.
It comes back down to how it's not how well Paradigm can play at this point. They cannot play well enough to win this game. it's up to TSM to get cocky and make mistakes. Their lead dictates the pace so drastically that unless they make very drastic mistakes, I'm talking about standing in lava pools, getting hit by the fire giant, getting baited one at a time, lemming-wise, into team fights, it seems that they could steamroll the rest of this game. Paradigm, though, I imagine are going to try to stay calm and focused. At this point, to me, in my mind, it's not about the comeback anymore. It's trying to get through this game, doing enough damage to make sure Team Solomid knows that when the game gets even again at the start of Game 2, they're going to come to win.
QO Fred. Oh, he's going to get Fearless. He's in a lot of trouble here.
Bye, Fred.
Path of Flames, is that enough? Yes, it is, of course, and was dotted up by the Agni as well. QO Fred does go down there. The pins are closed by Team Solomid, and they also have their Salvation online to help deal with those executes. Of course, this item does provide a burst heal that can take you right out of execute range and make Ao Kwang's day a bad day.
Yeah, definitely. I love, by the way, Salvation. We talked about it before. Salve in the current meta is extremely, extremely effective, especially this late. You can no longer build things like Brawler's Beat Stick or Divine Ruin. From ahead, Salvation is actually one of the highest statted items in the game for the cost, giving X amount of health, of course. Now,
percentage health, yeah.
Yeah, if we actually take a look at Athena, we can see her maximum health here, Clumsy Death. There she is, 2,800. So 15% of that is going to come back. So she's looking at about
like 500-ish
to 430 health.
Yeah.
That's a good burst, man. You get hit by 2 Agni bombs and that gets healed up. You feel that?
I feels it. Well, how does Paradigm? I mean, it definitely starts with them winning like 3 team fights in a row.
Do you see this Sentry Ward, by the way?
Yeah. That's been that kind of anti-lane ward Sentry has become more and more popular. Oh, okay. So it's actually 420 HP.
What did I say?
430.
Oh, did I?
Oh, here we go. It's a 2-man freeze from Trixinx. He goes in. The call has been made from Paradigm. Trying to defend here. Lobster does not make it into a rewind. Down will go Trix. Down will go Fred. And I don't see this one being stopped anymore by Paradigm.
No.
Yeah, I think the TSM's just going to roll right into the base.
Snoopy hit 2 there. That brings his total team fight total up to, it looked like 10 of 12, which is kind of crazy.
You see Fun Baller.
12.
Hands on the face. They're going to let this one go. I think I'm a monster. Zaylee going to do it. Nope, Fearless Chain. GG.
Yeah, that was pretty clean. I mean, there was really no way for them to stop that rush. The Salvation, of course, getting used to keep them alive. They lost nobody in that team fight. Paradigm needs to switch something up.
No, you know what? It's like exactly like the set they played yesterday. Like in the first game, they drafted something very similar. They had like 4 cores and a Geb, I think, in that one, something like that. And yeah, it kind of just fell apart. It wasn't really strong enough. It was again like a big theme yesterday for me in watching those games was that one team would draft like something that was really high execution dependent. The other team would draft something that was just really sound team fighting.
Circles.
Right, and that's what we saw in this game as well, right? It was like the key to success for Paradigm was like, okay, like isolate 2 people, have Scylla kill one, have QO kill the other, then have Amir like re-engage with a wall and a blink freeze to like run them down and hope that Bologna doesn't wipe the team, right?
It was a lot harder to play Paradigm's comp, and
yeah.
they couldn't fight at all early, and they did, and they lost those fights.
When you're running those 4 critical assassins, it comes down to like kind of like this 5-point attack, right? You're going to have one person lead, and then kind of this pincer that happens. 2 people coming in from the back, 2 people coming in from the sides, and then the defensive team has to be like, which one of these guys are we going to try to stop and then back off and try to reinitiate? The issue here is all 4 of those carries, whether they were in the pincer or not, never actually dealt enough damage for it to matter. Yep. The massive tankiness and great builds coming out from TSM dictated a clean win.
Yeah, I think another frontliner would have been really nice for the boys of Paradigm in that last matchup. But they wanted the damage out of Azalea's Scylla. And yeah, I mean, Mage is in the solo lane. I mean, we've only really seen Aphrodite have
Afro
any chance.
fine, Ra even sometimes decent. You know, Janice is good. Yeah, where's Ra?
Where's Ra? I keep saying it. It's like, you know, healer's really high value, team fighting's very high value, like re-engaging after like fights is really high value, taking objective, and it's just like Ra is the very best at all of those things.
Flavor picks.
Yeah, I guess
all flavor picks.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Ra's flavorful. He's tasty chicken. Let's toss it over to the analyst, Kevin and Hindu Man. Take it away. Tell us what you saw in game number 1.
Well, back guys, it's Adonis here alongside Hindu Man this time. Tom's taking a step out, and I want to get started with the picks and bans, because something a lot of viewers at home may not know is that AMC pick was actually not intentional by Paradigm. I don't even think you knew that.
I didn't know that, no.
Yeah, so what happened is they had highlighted AMC at the beginning because they didn't know what they wanted, and then time ran out, and it was locked in. You could actually, on camera, he wasn't on main stage, but Trix Tanks, with clearly frustrated, actually slammed the table. The AMC pick was not intentional,
planned.
and they had to really try and build the team comp after that.
That doesn't. I mean, to be fair, the MC pick, I don't think it was the biggest issue on the composition there. The way the game played out in general, though, is where I really want to look at. What we saw there from the boys of Paradigm, they picked a composition that was very late game-esque, designed to go mid-late and get control of the game from there. What we saw Trix try and do, though, early, it's up to Trix and Cuvo to really bring the team ahead. When they've been playing well this tournament so far is when Cuvo and Trix have gone off. And unfortunately, they didn't that game. Trix was going in too early, trying to make too much happen too early on when the team weren't in a position to really support him. And then he died because of it.
Yeah, I mean, he gave away first blood, and I think the following kill after that. And I think Trix was very frustrated. Typically, we won't really talk about moods because it's hard to know.
Of course, yeah.
But we actually did see Trix even sit there in the mid lane, 6-7 minutes in when they were down a couple kills.
I don't know. I think I was just waiting there.
No. His hand was like this.
Well,
and he was just spamming left and right, looking at a wall.
Waiting for it.
I think he was pretty frustrated. I think the AMC pick got to them, but I don't think it's really gonna keep setting in.
It's a best of 5 anyway, right?
That's the glory of the
best of 5 anyway, out of the way. I think Trix's initiations were good that game. He just didn't have the composition to follow him in early enough. He had a composition of Kronos mid lane, looking for mid to late game again. You've got Scylla solo lane, looking for mid to late game again. AMC, you're looking towards mid late game again. Jungle Ao Kwang, you're looking towards mid late game again. His whole team was designed for mid late game. They didn't get there though. TSM didn't let them.
We saw this yesterday too, coming up from Paradigm when they faced Titan. The first draft they got, they had, I don't know if it was Ao Kwang, but they had the Afro Kali, they had the Kronos in mid. They had a late game team composition, but they couldn't make it there. But then they were able to turn it around the following 3 games and win it out. So it's going to be interesting. I don't think they're going to go for that late game team comp. I think 2 sets in a row, they've learned that it's not really working, at least for them.
I think it's just balance of the team comp more than anything else that they need to do. If the AMC pick wasn't intended, which you said it wasn't, then if that's the case, their whole composition probably would have changed a little bit more and less late game orientated if they had the ability to probably change a different hunter there instead.
Yep, but player of the game was the Boosh on that mid lane Agni. So no surprise there. He played phenomenally.
Very controlled in the mid lane, got a lot of damage off early, really good initiations as well, good disengages. That was one of the times where you could see actually Trix thanks to him initiations. He was catching people multiple times. The caster said it during dashes. It's not an easy thing to do, but if you can do it, it's great work.
I mean, to catch Boosh's dash in the middle of it is, he has to know that Boosh is going to dash and actually freeze before Boosh starts it up.
Another player on the team, of TSM, that probably was very underrated for that set and overlooked was Eonic. Eonic on that Athena was amazing. His taunts that game were on point. We saw one in the lane in the early game when he missed completely.
That one doesn't count.
But that one doesn't count.
He got one freeze on Ymir, he got one missed taunt on Athena.
The rest of the taunts,
got him out.
The rest of the taunts were on point. They were in the right place at the right time when they needed to be. Saved teams, even held it multiple times when Ao Kwang was looking for an extra kill.
So walk me through, how did Team Solomid really abuse this late game team comp that we saw Paradigm draft?
I think what happened, this comes back to the whole issue of Trix was playing Ymir, he was looking for the early aggression, didn't have the follow-up, gave away a couple of kills because they were trying to aggress too early. They should have probably just sat back, carried on the farm situation. Ymir was the only real early game threat that the team of the team of Paradigm had. Unless Ao Kwang really managed to find a pick on someone, but finding a pick against an Agni, not so easy. Against a Tyr, not so easy. The gods that Ao Kwang was looking to try and pick off, it's not difficult to close the gap.
So taking a look, we saw Scylla being drafted into the solo lane for Xaylia, and Divios kind of control that lane in what we would expect. Are we going to see Xaylia pick a laner that can, have a better time?
Scylla was a fine. I don't think Scylla was a terrible pick there. I've seen Xaylia do it multiple times before in the past. He has tried out this god before, back early in Season 1 as well. With the map how it is now and no one needing hogs, Scylla in the solo lane, designed for team fights, let's be honest, if she can find the kills. And when he got rotations in, he did find a couple of kills here and there. A couple of armor monsters didn't connect though. If he did in that mid lane engagement early, halfway through that game could have swung a little bit back in the favor.
It's hard though, right? I always talk about it with Scylla. You can't just draft Scylla blind. You need Scylla to have some form of setup.
They don't look happy on screen.
And while they had Ymir, I mean, that game definitely got to them.
I think the frustration more than anything, if they didn't want to pick AMC and that happened, that's unfortunate for them. They found themselves in this spot though, but don't hover over AMC the next time if you don't want to pick it.
They're not going to hover over AMC. They'll take the crashed game lobby. They'll have to get another one going.
They'll be working out more than likely what they're going to do next. That's the big key here, is what the game plan's going to be for this game. The boys of TSM looking quite relaxed on screen now. It's not a surprise to see that though. That game was comfortable for them.
Yeah, and I think you even heard it, right? Divios just sitting there laughing. Ao Kwang's doing 100 damage to me. A lot of stacked magical protection on that team. So going forward into Game 2, do you expect us to see a similar picks and bans phase. Paradigm lost, so they're going to have choice. Do you think they'll take that first pick, which they have been
I'm pretty sure they'll be
historically?
fine with how with picks and bans went to an extent. If they could take Ao Kwang first of all, again, take that first pick, they were quite happy to give him again. Don't think Ao Kwang was a bad pick there, by any stretch of the imagination. We all know Ao Kwang's strength is there. Maybe the rest of the composition needs to switch around a little bit more, though. Not as much into the late game stage and some in the early as well.
Do you think the Freya that Team Solomid took out was a good ban? Because they took it out early, and it was clearly targeted against Funballer, because we heard Aurora saying that Hunters are really not worth banning, and the only Hunters we've seen being taken out have been the occasional Freya or Rom against Snoopy.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some Freya taken away and some Medusa as well, some
target
Apollo.
bans.
Just a target ban, not necessarily a full Hunter ban. I don't actually think it's that important that they have to do that, though. I actually tell you, that's a lie. I think they should take it away from Funball. Funball has been very controlling of the stats the stat lineup he has on that god. 30 kills, 7 deaths, and I think it's like 27 assists.
Yes,
it's pretty
it's
impressive.
absurd.
Like, that's insane. If they can get that god again, it'd be good. Lobster this game, though, Lobster struggled this tournament. He's been focused a lot, and it's full respect to the boys of NA doing the homework to realize how good Lobster is in the mid lane. They're shutting him down and keeping him pinned in. He's not having a chance to get going. I'd like to see Lobster transition maybe towards more of like the god pull that he's known for. Maybe bring back the Agni a little bit more, even some of his raw play. But raw, one of those gods that we've just not seen in the meta at the moment.
All right, guys, it's the summer finals. It's Paradigm versus Team Solomid. TSM took the first one. Game 2 coming up. Casters, it's on you.